is the new sexy.
Hello, this is Wyldfyre1. Once again, this is Nerd is the New Sexy, and with me today is...
Sunrie, back from the past, not from the future.
Marty. Welcome back, Sunrie. It's good to have you back.
Yeah, good to be back.
This is episode 18, and episode 18 will be touching on what subject, Sunrie?
Well, Back to the Future. That's what the whole intro was about.
Take me away. I don't mind. Yeah, whatever. But yeah.
Gotta go back in time.
Gonna be my own grandpa.
Gotta do the nasty and the pasty.
Oh, so it's going to be Back to the Future. First, I think Sunrie has a few rants he wants to get off his chest.
From the pits of his soul, some of his angst and anger needs to be let out from time to time. And this is one of those moments. We welcome you to Anger and Ranting by Sunrie.
First off, try to get this podcast started again tonight. Microsoft. Skype does not have to update every motherfucking time you turn it on. Once a week is even too much. Once a month, okay, for security bugs and stuff like that. But if every time you fix something, it fucks something else up, fire somebody! Jeez. And now the real meat of my rant. So, a while ago, I uninstalled Destiny for very obvious reasons.
Destiny being, if you haven't heard of it, it's a video game. It sucks. I have a lot of hatred for this game. A lot of people love it. I don't know why, but
I don't know why people are still playing it. So I decided I'm gonna see why people are still playing it. I'm gonna jump on there, see what the updates are about. Bungie and Activision has saw fit that if you do not buy the $40 expansion, now it's only $40 if you already have the season pass and the other updates, which I spent $100 on this game when it first came out. Now, I did play it a lot, but I spent $100 on this game to be able to get the 3 expansion packs and the cool little stuff in game when it first came out. I am now not allowed to play the game unless I give them another $30. How is this fucking legal?
Give us your money.
Activision, Bungie, go fuck yourselves, you pieces of shit. I ever meet one of you, I will probably take my foot and shove it so far up your ass that I will dislodge your tonsils.
So back to what we were going for. We're gonna go start with because you understand it. Back to the Future had a cartoon.
Yeah, I do remember the cartoon. It was actually rather entertaining. There were some inconsistencies with it.
Oh, there was a lot of inconsistencies.
Yeah. Like one of the things that irritated me the most was during the whole thing with Back to the Future up until what was the second one.
Yeah.
Every time someone called Marty McFly chicken, he lost his shit and decided,
that was all the way to the third one. That was
the third one?
All the way to the third one.
Okay, yeah, so all the way to the third. Yeah, that's right.
Remember, they were
right.
calling him Yellow in that one.
Yeah, they call him Yellow. So they're calling him chicken. That was like his big, Ermagerd, I'm not chicken, I'll show you chicken. Well, he learns his lesson.
That's what all 3 movies is priorly about.
Yeah,
pretty much about. It's pretty much Marty McFly going, oh, I have to let go of my own ego. But yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, so he finally gets over the whole, oh my God, if I keep letting people push my buttons like that with chicken, call me chicken and going after him, then something bad would happen, and because it doesn't, now I understand. In the cartoon, they keep referring to him as chicken, and he gets mad and decides, I'm gonna show you. And now, it's excusable because the actor who played Marty is obviously not Michael J. Fox in the cartoon. However, the guy who played Biff still voices the Biff characters.
Oh, and the Biff guy
fucking should have known.
Yeah.
He should have known. He should have told the writers, okay, this doesn't work, because anybody who's watched the movies knows that this no longer bothers them.
Well,
we need to find a new joke.
Honestly, to be completely honest with you, I think the Biff character, the guy who played him, was just happy he was getting a paycheck.
Yeah, probably.
He's actually, just on a side note, he's actually a pretty known comedian right now.
Yes, he is.
He's and hats off to that guy. I forget his name. I feel bad that I forget his name, but he's actually a pretty funny guy. I think he jokes around about Back to the Future on stage. He doesn't do too much, but yeah. So let's start with the first movie. The first movie came out when?
The first movie came out, I want to say it actually came out in 1985.
I think it was 1985.
Because that was the whole point. Was that's when he was there and he was going back in time. I was 5 years old when this movie came out. I don't believe I saw it in theaters. I actually think I saw it a few years later.
It was on HBO all the fucking time, and when it
that's where I saw it, was on HBO.
Yeah. So
because it used to come out in HBO, and that was the big thing about HBO, home box office.
Yep.
In case people don't know what HBO stands for,
Yes.
It stands for home box office. Movies used to take a very long time to come out because it had to be put onto VHS. It had to be narrowed down into a 4:9 viewing screen from a 14 by
whatever the screen was.
9 or 14 by 14 by 9. It had to be shrunk down to a 4:6. That's what it is.
Yeah, whatever the screen was before, and you got to remember that even then there were contracts. There's certain rights that people have to be able to view these movies. And
so VHS took a long time to come out because they had to print all the new reels and put them inside a VHS tape, which is funny because VHS was much cheaper than Betamax, but Betamax was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Basically, imagine taking a DVD and a Blu-ray and coming out at the same time. The DVD's obviously going to win out because the Blu-ray's way too damn expensive.
Exactly.
So HBO was where you would go to see the movies.
But the basic premise of the first movie is there's a teenager played by Michael J. Fox. God bless that man. He's an amazing actor to this
day. He really
is.
is.
It sucks that he got Parkinson's disease, and life just kicked him in the nuts. Poor guy.
Yeah.
And he probably would be to this day one of the best actors we have if he didn't have Parkinson's. He still is, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, he's actually really good. He's got range.
Yeah. So anyway, you got Michael J. Fox playing Marty McFly, who's the son of George McFly.
Yeah. It's like the actor is pretty well known as well. He was actually in a lot of movies.
The actual actors in this movie were all amazing. Now, the basic premise of the first movie is he's a teenage boy that it goes out and hangs out with a doctor, a doctor, scientific doctor, which, in my opinion, let's be honest, that's a little creepy.
It kind of is. I mean, he wasn't a blonde-headed kid, so it wasn't quite that.
It wasn't Star Wars creepy. Come on over, Marty. I'm gonna touch you.
Yeah. I mean, and what's funny is because Christopher Lloyd plays the Doc Brown.
Yeah.
And he plays this real eccentric, really weird guy. Like, he intentionally sets his clocks back in weird times so they go off at different, at the same time, but at different hours, and just for no obvious reason.
He's obviously very eccentric, and it brings that out in the first scene where Marty goes to his house.
Yeah.
And he's not there, And basically, Marty gets a phone call saying, "Meet me at blah 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 at a certain time, like a certain square."
Basically meets him at the mall.
Yeah,
One of the opening scenes is when he's at his home, and his brother's there, his sister's there, his dad's there, and they're basically your typical lower middle class loser style family. And he's kind of like the middle child on all of this.
I wouldn't say loser.
Actually, I think he was the baby. He's the youngest.
Yeah, he was the youngest because his sister's older and his brother was older.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say they were like what happened was, his dad didn't have very much confidence, and because of that he has a shitty job, and because of
right. Yeah.
But we'll get into
his mom
that.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
And his mom's like this real prude, like, don't talk to boys, don't do
smoke,
anything, don't smoke, don't eat sugar type thing. And she's a
little weighty at the beginning.
She's definitely a motherhead.
Yeah.
And Marty's kind of like at the tail end of everything, just trying to be, I'm just like a nice kid.
I'm a kid, and he loves rock and roll.
Yeah.
That plays into the series off and on, but he goes to school, and he kind of has his own problems too. You see, he's got a shithead principal who knew his dad and treated his dad like shit or something like that.
Yeah, your dad was a shitter and you're a shitter.
Yeah, so then there's the scene where the clock tower where they talk about the lightning hit it in the past.
Yeah, lightning hit it. Tchaikovsky's gun is a bitch.
Yes. So he gets a flyer and all that. All this happens. You meet his girlfriend, which she's amazing. He's obviously drooling over this truck at one point in the beginning.
Yeah, he really wants this. It's like souped up. My balls
for the 80s
on the ground on an awesome truck.
For the 80s, it's an amazing truck. I wouldn't find that truck now. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was like it had had the lights on top of it. It was like looked like a 4x4.
Yeah, it was a 4x4
Beautiful.
extended cab. And,
Yeah, beautiful truck. He wanted it. You could tell like he was drooling over it pretty much. So he meets Doc Brown.
When he rolls this time machine out, I just love Michael J. I like Marty McFly's
Expression, yeah.
expression. He just goes, "Doc, it's a DeLorean." He goes, "Well, if you're gonna build a time machine, you might as well do it in style."
Yeah, it's a DeLorean.
It's a fucking DeLorean, which
DeLoreans are
nice cars,
well,
but
great cars. But they were basically meant to look like they were from the future.
yeah.
So
Yeah, very minimalistic, and it was supposed to be an inexpensive, ritzy-looking car.
yeah,
It's a four-banger, and it was front-wheel drive. Most vehicles at the time were not front-wheel drive, but it had like the gull-wing doors, and it was supposed to be aerodynamic and sleek, and everything was all like in line, so it didn't create any drag, and that was supposed. Not very powerful car, but it looks like it would haul ass.
Yeah. So he pulls this car out, and of course, the car itself has a few extra added features to it for props and such.
Capacitor.
And there's a flux capacitor inside of it, which is beautiful. He explains what the flux capacitor is. He explains that he thought the idea up one day. He fell off the toilet or something. I forget.
Yeah, which really, why was he standing on the toilet in his bathroom?
He was jerking off, dude. He was asphyxiating.
I think autoerotic asphyxiation is what.
So I think that's what happened. He fell, hit his head on the toilet seat or some porcelain or something, and then he supposedly
whacked his head and he
dreamt up the flux capacitor.
Kind of like Tesla.
Yeah. So throughout this conversation that Marty and he are having, how's this thing run? He goes, it's nuclear.
Yeah, no, yeah, it runs on plutonium. Pure plutonium.
Yeah.
It's a 1.21 gigawatts.
Yeah. So, it's wait a minute, Doc, this thing's nuclear? That was a beautiful line. And, and at that point, I think at that point in the movie, it's making you go, where did he get fucking plutonium?
Yep. And then he explains that he basically got involved with some Libyans to build them a nuclear bomb and gave them a bunch of pinball machine parts and was just like, here you go.
He made him a fake bomb out of pinball machine.
I'm imagining, some little little towelhead dirtbag running into the middle of somewhere and screaming Allahu Akbar, hitting a button. All he hears ching 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 ching
Till
and he's just getting gunned down.
Actually, no, they test it on the dog, which is kind of fucked up.
Yeah. He basically puts it in as an auto return. So he sends him back, sets the time, and then sends them into the future. That's what he did.
Yeah.
So he sends them into their future.
Comes back a minute later.
Yeah, and then so when he sees the clocks are still perfectly aligned, but it's like a minute behind.
Yeah.
Like exactly a minute behind.
So you got that, and all of a sudden, like the Libyans basically
show up.
Oh, they found me. I don't know how, but they found me. And they show up and they shoot down Doc Brown. No, bastards!
They see Marty, and they're shooting real bullets.
Yep. So they're shooting at Marty, and Marty does the one thing any of us would do. We jump in that fucking time machine and escape that way.
All ass, yep.
Well, as he's getting ready, he's getting ready to hit the meter that makes the flux capacitor work. The Libyans pull out a fucking RPG.
Yeah, RPG.
He goes, he disappears and goes back in the past, which is 1955. While the Libyans basically run into something because obviously the Libyans can't drive.
Yeah. Okay, and it's important to note that the Libyans showed up without their lights on.
Yeah.
They drove in without their lights on, and that's important for later on in the movie at the end, because apparently there's a lot of changes from him going to the past. Just like for some reason. Okay, so basically where the mall is to where he ends up later is it's probably about 10 miles. Because this is in the 1950s into the 80s, so cities and towns, they expand, they get bigger, and I mean, hell, we saw it in our town, where it started off in just a couple of suburbs, and eventually annexed a bunch of other places that were in the county.
Doc Brown even mentions what that place was before. It was a pine tree farm. Remember?
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Because he was trying the guy was trying to breed pine trees.
And here's another one of those inconsistencies. Now, and I'm not talking about like the bootstrap paradoxes and the grandfather paradoxes and stuff like that in the movie. I'm talking about he goes into a barn forward and then drives forward out of the barn the same way he came in. So I don't know how the fuck he spun around.
I didn't notice that, but I think you're right. That's maybe magical. It's bling.
And it goes from midnight, around midnight is when this actually happened, to about 9 o'clock in the morning in less than 10 miles on his drive into town.
Yeah, well, maybe time was inconsistent. Maybe
Maybe something happened and he jumped forward in time driving there.
Yeah, maybe it was like 4 a.m. 5 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
But because when he parks it, you're right. When the car actually starts screwing up and he has to park it behind that billboard, it's daylight coming.
Very daylight.
So I think it's daylight. I want to say it's sun's coming up. I don't remember. It's either way, yeah. So first thing he does is tries to go home.
He ends up in town and he has no idea. And they're like, well, what's with the life preserver? And he's just
that's where he meets.
I'll take a Pepsi. And the guy's like, what are you talking? And he's like, just give me a coffee, and gives him 10 cents.
Yeah,
And then he finds Doc Brown and he goes to him and he tells him how he thought about the flux capacitor, and that's what convinced him to.
His dad was spying on his mom like a fucking creep.
That's exactly what happened. He was walking to Doc Brown's, saw his dad spying, being a peep. He said, he's a freaking peeping Tom.
Yeah,
and then his dad falls out of the tree. He pushes him out of the way of the car. He gets hit, and he ends up at his mom's place.
What was supposed to happen was his dad was supposed to get hit by the car, and his mom would fall in love with his dad.
Yeah.
Because of that. Well, instead, Marty gets hit by the car, and guess who gets the hots for her son? I think the scene is Mom?
Yeah.
Where am I?
Talking to him,
oh, you're safe and sound back here, good old 1955.
She keeps calling him Calvin.
You kept calling him Calvin because it's written all over your underwear. Calvin Klein.
Yeah.
so long story short for that, they stay there for a little bit. He freaks out that his mom's like young and pretty, which.
Yeah. Now, in his defense, it is 1980s Leah Thompson.
Oh God.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
She even later on, she was beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta see her jump around on stage in her underwear when I saw Cabaret. So
lovely.
Yeah.
So so anyway, that going on from there, he goes. I think after that, he goes and finds Doc Brown.
Yeah, because he asked him. He goes. So where can I find this street? Because he didn't recognize the street, and he goes, "Oh, that's right off of JFK Drive." And his grandfather goes, "Who the hell's John F. Kennedy?"
Yeah, who the hell's JFK?
Because it hasn't happened yet.
Well, one of the things that cracks me up the most is his uncle, the one that's the jailbird.
Yeah.
The uncle is basically a baby at this point, and he's in a crib. Yeah. And they were talking about him earlier in the movie, talking about, Uncle Joey is in jail and whatever, or Uncle Jay or what the hell his name is. And he looks at the kid and he goes, better get used to these bars.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the lines that still makes me laugh from that movie. Yeah.
Oh, so you're my Uncle Joey, huh? Better get used to these bars.
Better get used to these bars, kid. But he finds Doc Brown, and the first scene he meets young Doc Brown, and Doc Brown's wearing this weird-looking fucking helmet.
And he's like, doesn't believe him. He's running away from him, like screaming.
And he's just trying to sell him something. And
yeah.
So
anyway, okay, Mr. I'm from the future. Who's the president in 1985? Ronald Reagan, the actor.
Yeah.
Which is even funnier because at the time as a kid, I was like, what does he mean Ronald Reagan, an actor? Because I only knew him as the president.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until later on in life that I was like, oh, I didn't realize Ronald Reagan was an actor.
Oh, my dad had explained that to me because I looked at it, I'm like, what?
Yeah. It's like, that doesn't make any sense.
So he finally convinces Doc Brown, convinces him that he's from the future.
Yeah.
He thinks of that tape recorder that he had. And
yeah. And what's funny is they're watching the video, and at one point he pauses, and everything falls off the VCR, and it's like, it was never hooked up.
Yep.
It's like, I can kind of believe that he was so smart he managed to jerry-rig a way of making that play through the TV, but not with any of the hookups completely falling out of it.
Well, you know what? I kind of, that's what I kind of thought of. I thought he just jerry-rigged it, but because, he is Doc Brown.
Yeah.
He made a fucking time machine.
Plutonium? Oh, sure, in 1985, you can buy it at any gas station. Yeah, because he says something like, you can't just generate 1.21 gigawatts unless, you can harness the power of lightning. And he goes, lightning?
A bolt of lightning. Yeah.
Yeah.
That and he really pulled that thing out of his pocket that the lady gave him to.
Yeah, about the clock.
So
because it had been struck by lightning.
They're trying to reconstruct it. That's what.
Yeah, because it had stopped after it got struck by lightning a few days before after Marty got to the past.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
So
in a few days it will strike, but in his timeline it had already struck.
So at this point, after they talk, and at one point they realize that Marty's mom has the hots for him instead of his dad. They have two problems.
Yeah.
They have to get Marty back in time, back to his future, and they have to put his mom and dad back together again as lovebirds because his family's disappearing from this photo that he has.
Yeah.
In other words, he's gonna be the bane of his own existence.
Yeah. So, his photograph is constantly fading. It starts with his older brother, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Why they didn't just all start fading out at the same time, I don't... Plot reasons, I guess.
Well, I guess it was like, you got this much time to do it. That's, I think...
Yeah, probably.
Maybe is because, the older brother... And the older brother's a douche. The sister's a douche, too. But but anyway, so one of the stories they told in the beginning when, you first met his family was... This is how their first the parents' first kiss was at a dance.
Yeah, the Enchantment Under the Sea dance.
Enchantment of the Fish Under the Sea dance. Yeah. The Enchantment Under the Sea dance, and that's where they had the first kiss.
Or ball or something.
Yeah. So instead of at this point, Lorraine, that's the mom's name. Lorraine has no interest in George McFly, and George McFly is being bullied by Biff, who's basically the bully from the past, from his future as well. Basically his dad's boss in the future, big prick.
Oh, that's right. He was his dad's boss.
So he's being bullied by this man, and this guy's basically, you're fucking average bully.
You're stereotypical 1980s jock boy type bully
for the 1955.
Via 1955, but 1980s style.
Yeah, so he's got his own little crew of people. They're all douchebags too.
Where if they actually existed, they'd be the ones getting made fun of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean seriously, like that one guy
glasses.
With the glasses. Hey, look, Life Preserver.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, dude, even I want to give you a swirly. And I play Dungeons and Dragons.
He was wearing these like 3D glasses. I guess that was a thing back then.
That's right, it was.
But
like Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yeah, like Bebop and Rocksteady. I forgot they did that shit. After trying to get his mom and dad together, in failed attempts. There's one scene in particular I enjoy. It's when Marty goes into his dad's house dressed
wearing the radiation suit.
As a radiation suit, and he says he's Darth Vader.
Yeah, I am Darth Vader from the planet. I forget what he says. I think he says Krypton.
I think he said Krypton or Vulcan.
Vulcan, that's right. I am Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan. And he keeps playing like this speed metal blasted in his ears because his dad
says Van Halen mix.
That's right. Yeah, he's playing Van Halen like full blast in these headphones. So his dad doesn't know what's going on because they're headphones,
Who knows? You don't know what those are in 15 minutes.
Yeah, and so every time his dad starts to question something, he hits a button and he thinks that he's melting his mind.
It's a guitar solo, and it's hilarious. He's like, "You must ask Lorraine, you
to
the prom or whatever to dance, and you must talk to her, and blah blah blah." And he finally gets him to kind of get. He's trying to give his dad confidence.
Yeah, the entire time he's like trying to build him up. He's like, okay, so this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take advantage of her. You're gonna come around. You're gonna knock me out because she's gonna think I'm this huge asshole.
Yeah,
and he goes, get your damn hands off her. He goes, do I have to say damn? Yes, god damn it, you have to say damn.
Yeah, well, Marty's taking his mom to the dance, and they're supposed to fool around in the car. Well, before they start fooling around, his dad's supposed to come and pull him off her and blah, 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 blah. Because he thinks his mom's fucking innocent.
Yeah.
So, there's one scene where he's like trying to talk to him. He's all, yeah, that's the best part of it. Daddy-o.
Yeah, Daddy-o.
So, fast forward to the dance. Okay, so what happens, he's in the car with his mom, and his mom starts drinking.
Yeah, from a flask, and he's like, do you mind if we just park? She's like, sure. He's like, what are you talking about? She goes, I'm 17. You think I haven't parked before? He's just like, oh, Jesus.
And she starts drinking and smoking and shit, and he's freaking out like he's seeing his side of her.
I love when she kisses him. She's like, This sounds odd, but when I kiss you, it's like kissing my brother.
Yeah, well, he squeaks when she kisses him. He's like, he's like, what the fuck's going on? And finally, he gets pulled out, and you can just see that, oh, thank God, look in his face. And he pulls out, and guess who got him? Biff has him. Biff pulls him out. And so Biff beats the shit out of him, and they put him in the back.
Locks him in a truck, or a trunk of a car.
Which happens to be the trunk of the van.
Yes.
So, and Biff is basically fondling her, and you get her legs out, and of course, George, the dad, sees that, doesn't know it's Biff, grabs him, pulls him out of the car, looks at him, hey, you, get your damn hands off her.
Yeah. Oh God.
Oh God. And they start fighting, and Biff puts George in an arm lock, and of course,
like a straight arm bar, basically.
Yeah, Lorraine's like, don't do it, you're gonna break his arm, blah blah blah, and he pushes Lorraine down, and that's what fucking gets George.
Oh yeah, that triggered it, and he just turned around and clocks Biff. One hitter quitter drops him.
Well, he does like a spin.
Yeah.
He does like this spin. He passes. He just falls down, and Lorraine's eyes, basically light up, and they go and think.
And everybody sees that it happened, so everyone's like running. Oh my God, someone knocked out Biff.
Yeah. I guess I guess no one liked poor Biff. So
yeah, they just put up with him.
So
so Marty ends up, because the band hears Marty in the trunk, and they go to get him out, but they bust up his hand, and he's like, okay, you guys need to go back, I need to go back in, you guys need to go out there and play. Yeah, because my parents, need a dance and fall in love. And they're like, well, you fucked up my guitar player's hand, so unless you know someone who can play the guitar, go ahead and
yes,
and he's like, and so Marty, being in the band, knowing how to play guitar, starts playing the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
There's 100 different ways to play Earth Angel.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure unless they told him or he learned the 1950s chords, which are actually pretty difficult. I have tried doing, and I can't. It's a little, the fingering's a little too odd for me still, because I'm learning how to play guitar. But it's a beautiful song.
Strum.
Yeah.
Strum, but it's
it's the F.
It's the
power F chord that they use.
Yeah.
It's the fingering. It makes it's a difficult transition. Plus, there's a couple hammer-ons that make it sound really cool.
Yeah.
I'll give it to Michael J. Fox. Somebody did show him the basic fingering positions for it, because when you watch the movie, he is playing the right chords.
Now, was Parkinson's an issue back then? I think he had it during the second movie.
It was. However, he said that during all that, he kept it quiet. He didn't like people to know.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he was always very quiet with it. Now, in the middle of interviews, he'll be like, hey, I got to go take, he had one with Barbara Walters not too long ago. A couple years ago.
30, I think. Well, he had one recently about the 30-year anniversary.
Yeah, and he started moving real bad. He goes, hey, look. He goes, hey, pause the interview for a moment. I got to go take my medicine.
Yeah. And
he comes back and goes, hey, sorry about that. I had to take my medicine.
I'm fine. Well, yeah, it's.
Yeah, and he's like, you know what? Everyone knows now. I don't give a shit. Yeah. Let's educate some people on this.
He's an advocate for.
Yeah, and you can't do that by hiding it.
So the scene we're getting to is one of the biggest known scenes from the movie, and it's one of my favorite scenes because he rocks out. But anyway, he's playing Earth Angel, and they're dancing, and I think, was it during Earth Angel? Yeah, it was during Earth Angel. One of Biff's thugs comes in and tries to cut in and is dancing with Lorraine, and doesn't he clock him too?
Well, what happens is, like, he walks away.
Oh, he pushes him. That's right.
He pushes him because he wasn't there when Biff got knocked out.
Yeah.
So he takes Lorraine and just like, I'm top bitch in school now. And then he gets mad, and he comes walking over and grabs him by the shirt and shoves him to the floor. And he grabs Lorraine and just like shoves his tongue down her throat. And she's like, "Oh my God, yes,
spank me!"
yeah. It's like, spank me in front of everybody.
So
yeah, well, again, 1980s Leah Thompson, I would have been like, okay,
whatever you want, Leah Thompson. Just take me home. I'm your puppy dog.
Yeah. Yeah. And then everybody's clapping, and he's like, okay, well, we got to do something. Something more. The crowd's loving it. And he goes, well, come on, let's do something that really cooks. And he's like, okay, tell you what. And so he goes out and makes a little speech, and he goes, all right, guys, try to keep up. Watch the change on the F, or he goes, watch the change on the F sharp and the B flat, and try to keep up.
Yeah.
And he starts playing Johnny Be Good.
Oh, the biggest, one of the best parts of the movie right there. And it's not Michael J. Fox singing.
Obviously. Yeah, and I don't even think it's Chuck Berry.
No, but they did.
It's somebody doing a cover. Now, here is my favorite bootstrap paradox ever, next to Ocarina of Time's Song of Storms. Because while he is playing, the guy who busted his hand, his last name is Marvin Berry.
Yep.
His cousin is Chuck Berry. the person who released Johnny Be Good. Now, this is what I don't remember exactly why it's called a bootstrap. I think it's because it's a continuous cycle. But basically, and it all ties together. But here's the basic rundown of it. Michael J. Fox only knows Johnny Be Good because he learned the music after Chuck Berry released it. But Chuck Berry only learned it because he heard Michael J. Fox playing it. But Michael J. Fox only learned to play it because Chuck Berry released it.
Yeah.
But Chuck Berry only released it because he originally heard Michael J. Fox playing it. So who originally created Johnny Be Good?
The chicken or the egg?
The chicken or the egg. And that's a bootstrap paradox.
So basically, this guy's on the phone with Chuck Berry, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, I don't know if you're blah blah blah. You've been looking for that new sound. Listen to this." And he puts the phone out, and friggin' everyone's dancing, everyone's having a good time. And then of course
he starts going like ape shit, Van Halen.
Yeah.
Harmonics and
yeah, and he's like sliding on fucking stage. Everyone kind of stops and looks at him,
kicking over amplifiers.
Yeah, everyone kind of stops and looks at him, and he's like, he said something like,
"Yeah, you're not ready for this,
but your kids are gonna love it."
Yeah.
So he basically gets his dad and mom together. They talk to him, and she's like, "I'm going home with him, blah blah blah. I'm going home with George." And he's like, "Oh, thank God, kids." And he goes, one of the last things he says to him is before he leaves to go meet the doc, "If your kid ever catches the carpet on fire, go easy on him," or something like that. And
just real quick, there's another statement that after he leaves, she says, "Marty, that's a really nice name."
Oh, that's
why
right.
He is still called Marty and their first child isn't called Marty. I don't know.
Well, it's
again
writing. Did she go from Calvin to Marty? That's my question.
Well, because he said his real name's Marty when they met. She said, "Oh, I thought your name was Calvin. It's written all over your underwear."
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he goes, "Well, my name's actually Marty."
Anyway, at this point he comes and he talks. He finally meets the doc, and the doc is trying to set everything up. There's a point where like one of the cops talks to him and asks him if he has a permit. He's like, "Yeah, I have a permit." Fucking liar.
And Marty's trying to warn him about the Libyans, and he's like, "You can't tell me about the future." No, basically to quote Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
No spoilers.
So in the long run, he basically writes him a note, and he tears the note up, and I think he puts it in his pocket or something. I can't remember. But
yeah, because he put it in his pocket, and Doc Brown feels it somehow when he puts his hand in his pocket, and he's like, "What is this?" He's like, "It's just something you need to know," and he tears it up, and he's just like, "God damn it!"
Yeah. So he's in the car waiting for whatever. There's a time limit, like a timer going down. He's trying to start the engine, it's not starting, and Doc is trying to get shit going with the
things are breaking. The wires
are breaking. He has to climb up the fucking tower and connect the connectors, which is cool. And then he slides down it just in time. And then the car hits the cord, and the lightning hits just on time. And freaking Marty goes home.
Yeah,
he goes back to the future. Well, he goes, but there's things that are a little different in the future.
Yeah, like he goes back in time a few like 10 minutes. Why he didn't set it for more than 10 minutes? God, I don't fucking know. But whatever. Plot, tension, movie, fun.
Yeah. Yep.
And so what I do like is the old mayor is the drunk on the bench.
Yep.
Which is freaking hilarious.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah.
So
and the Libyans go by, but now they have their lights on.
Yeah, the lights are on. And they shoot the doc, and he basically watches it all happen. He watches himself go back in time.
Yeah.
And then he runs up to Doc. Why the Libyans are still there? It wasn't that long after the Libyans crashed, right?
Yeah, and somehow he ran about 10 miles in less than 10 minutes without,
Well, he ran like
exasperating.
I wouldn't say 10 miles, but yeah, you get the idea. It is a long way. Well, he gets to the dock, and the dock, he's like, "Oh no," whatever. He's all upset, and then the doc kind of looks at him. And he's all, "How?" And he pulls open his I want to say like
his lab coat,
and there's a freaking bulletproof vest under it.
Yeah.
And,
now,
go ahead.
Unless Doc invented some dragon skin, that vest was not going to stop, a 30-round magazine of 308.
Didn't like two people shoot at him?
Yeah, it was 2 AK-47s full auto, and he took about 30 rounds.
Yeah, and you would expect maybe, because those things aren't really, dead on accurate. They kick pretty good, and those Libyans didn't really aim too well.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's what it was. Maybe they didn't once.
Yeah, maybe. I know they hit him at least 5 times if you count it.
Well,
so
anyway.
Yeah, it should not have stopped it, but again, movie suspense fun.
Movie suspense fun. Back to the Future. Anyway, so happy ending there. He's alive. Everything's good. He goes back home and he realizes that his home isn't quite the home he remembers.
Yeah. He wakes up, like the house is actually all nice and clean. People are happy in the morning, and his brother is wearing a suit. And he goes, "Tim," I think his name was Tim.
Yeah.
He goes, "What? You're wearing a suit?" He goes, "I always wear a suit before I go to the office." And all I could think during that scene is, even at like 6 or 7 years old, it was, you still live with your parents when you have a job?
Yeah. Well, remember, beforehand, his brother and his sister were both unemployed.
And what's funny is his sister's like all super attractive now. She's skinny, and her mom's like, nice. Her mom's like, I just took another 2 messages from some boys. You're quite popular.
Yeah, well, this is the best part. His dad walks in and he's got all this confidence. You can just see it around him. He's glowing confidence.
Yeah,
talks about
he's got like a perfectly tailored suit. He's walking with his head up. He's got his arms back. He's like all strutting.
He's talking about selling. He just made
a book.
It's a bestseller. I think it was like Believe in Yourself. Oh, Believe in Yourself or something like that.
Yeah, Love Beyond the Stars. It's something, and it was about an alien coming down and hooking up 2 people. And it was the picture of what he looked like when he was in that radiation suit.
Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, guess who is the bitch of the situation? Poor Biff. Poor Biff now works for George McFly. He's out there, and guess what happens? Marty McFly walks out, and guess what's in that fucking garage? It's the truck he always wanted, and Biff is putting coats of wax on it.
Yeah, because his dad's super successbiff.
Yep,
and so his family's got whatever they want.
Well, his dad even George actually says something to Biff.
Yeah, like I know you've been wanting it, and Biff comes in. He goes, "I finished up your car too." Here you go.
See, that's what I'm saying. George tells Biff, "Don't con me," because remember he said that shit to him.
Yep.
It was the reverse in the beginning of the movie, so it was nice to see that change. So I'll let you talk about the end of this. Explain the end of the first movie where
hilariously, okay, so he ends up back, and as like they're sitting there talking about going away for the weekend up to the cabin with the guys or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it was all
of a sudden, there's this bright flash, all this wind, and Doc shows up, and he jumps out, and he's got he is basically at this point, if you've ever seen Rick and Morty on Adult Swim, he looks exactly like the like Rick.
He was the inspiration for that.
Yeah, because he's totally the inspiration, even his voice, everything like that. He's even wearing the sunglasses, those super tight, solid piece wraparounds. Yep. And he jumps out, his hair's all wild, and he just goes, Marty, you got to come back with me. Well, back where, Doc? Back to the future. He goes, Doc, I'm kind of Mills. He goes, no, Marty, this isn't about you. It's your kids, Marty.
He gets into the car. And he's like, we don't have enough road to get to 88 miles per hour. Roads?
Well, that's right.
We don't need roads. And the car transforms into like this hover
that's right,
spaceship-looking thing.
And all I can think of that part was, 5 minutes ago in the movie, you hit 88 down that street, no problem.
He had to have. That maybe he flew in. I don't know. But yeah, either way, that's kind of a problem. But at the same time, it's cool. Yeah. Movie fun, like you said. So they do this like, they go in the air and they flip around and then go through time. Yeah, and then it's to be continued. And that was the longest fucking wait for a sequel that I've ever fucking waited for.
Yeah.
Because it took what? It was 1950. I think the second one was released in 1989.
Something like that. I know it was years.
It was years.
Years and years later. And that one I did see in the theaters.
Oh, and the sequel was cool.
Sequel was good. It was actually good.
I liked it. In my opinion, it wasn't as good as the first one because it followed the same premise, but I don't care. That was still good. It was still good. So the sequel, I want you to set us up for that one.
Well, they end up going into the future where all the where the cars can fly and stuff like that. And what's really funny is he jumps into the future instantly in fucking incoming traffic.
Oh yeah.
everyone's swerving around and honking at him, everything like that. And so he finally tells them what's up. Your kids are in trouble. We're here to stop that. And again, this is where we end up having the whole thing with the chicken. It really starts playing in even more.
Yeah, you barely seen it in the first movie. Like they kind of say it a few times,
kind of hint at it,
and then in the sequel, it kind of pushed it a little more. You kind of see more.
Nobody calls me chicken.
Nobody calls me chicken. So
one of my favorite parts of that was he ends up going into this 1980s style cafe.
Yeah, it's like the Max Headroom and like all.
Yeah. It's got Max Headroom and stuff like
Michael
that.
Jackson.
Yeah, hologram servers and stuff like that. Michael Jackson selling Pepsi on the commercials, and
Beautiful.
He sees an old Nintendo Light Zapper gun game, and it wasn't Hogan's Alley. It was it was that Wild West one.
I think it was a generic version of it.
I think it was Crack Shot.
I think it was Crack Shot.
Yeah. And so he's standing there, and the kids are looking at it. They're like, what is this? He goes, oh, hey. He goes, watch this, kids. I'm a crack shot at this. And it says go, and he draws, and he fires, and he hits every single person with it. And he's all, you're a crack shot, high score. And the kids are all, you got to use your hands to play it? That's a baby's game.
They walk off, and these kids are like 8 or 9 years old, man.
Yeah. And this was October 24th, 2015.
Yeah, we did forget something about the first movie. Remember the black guy that turned into the mayor?
Oh yeah, because he goes, in the very first movie, he meets this guy who's doing nothing but sweeping the diner, and he goes, and he's talking to Marty, and he says something. He goes, like take me for example. You think I'm gonna sweep the floors in here every single day? No, I've got big plans. And Marty goes, that's right, you're gonna be mayor someday.
Yeah.
And then the guy goes, Black Mayor? Shit, that'll be the day.
Yeah.
And he is the mayor.
He turns out to be the mayor, and the mayor's actually a bum. So, yeah, that's a good, that's something we did forget about the first movie. So, where are we at in the second one? They just...
So he's in there, and then all of a sudden, somebody who looks exactly like him, but wearing floppy clothes and everything like that, come in.
Oh, that's right. It's his son. Well, we forgot about one of the big...
He finds out that it's his son.
We forgot about something important. Remember
what?
His
right
girlfriend.
Before that, where he sees Jaws?
No, remember that too, but his girlfriend...
Oh, yeah, Doc Brown knocked her out so that she wouldn't get involved.
Yeah, so she was... I don't know how the hell she got in the car. How the hell she got... was it that one or was it the... No, it was that one.
He got in the car with her, and then he knocked her out.
Oh, that's
Doc,
right.
What'd you do? It's a mild sedative. She won't remember anything.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, and so...
The Jaws part. Talk about that.
Yeah. So right before he gets into that cafe, he's walking through, and all of a sudden, this giant 3D solid light hologram comes at him and, like, bites him. And then it says, like, Jaws 16 or something like that. And he goes, damn, shark still looks fake. And so back to where he meets up with his son in the thing. Biff comes in, and
Biff from the
Biff
past?
knocks the future Biff.
Okay.
And I forget what it's like Biff's grandson or something like that.
It's the grandson of Biff. He's a dick too.
Yeah. And so he knocks him down, and he's like, oh, yeah, Biff, whatever you want, Biff. Because he wanted him, like, smuggle drugs or something.
Mm-hmm.
He was, he's basically using, Marty's son as a drug mule.
Yeah.
Marty, like, tells him, shut up, stay down, grabs his hat and stands right up. And all of a sudden they step back. They're like, what the hell? And he's, like, insulting Biff, and he goes to punch him, and Biff's like all like mechanically enhanced.
It's like a metal thing, on his chin.
Yeah, and like grabs his arm and starts to whoop his ass, and then he ends up on the most iconic thing in the movie, the most iconic thing that everybody always remembers: the hoverboards.
Well, that and the shoes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and the self-lacing shoes.
Yeah.
Now, this movie was so iconic in this way that literally people for decades have been asking and begging for a hoverboard. So much so, Mattel finally, for Back to the Future Day last year, actually released a toy hoverboard. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not functional like in the movies and stuff like that. However, it looks like it. It's got the sounds, and it was a very limited edition.
Well, Nike released the shoes as well.
And Nike released the shoes.
So there you go. That goes to show just how how big these movies are.
Yeah. And the same with this, and you know, just because we're running out of time, we'll speed things up a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the end, what happens is he finds a sports encyclopedia from 1985 to 2015. Now, what's interesting about this, it was almost right. The Cubs almost won this World Series. They didn't get to the World, but that would have been one of the biggest holy fuck predictions in Hollywood history.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, it causes this huge fallout. So he ends up going back to his past. Things are completely fucked up. They end up going.
Hold on.
What's up?
We're forgetting about, you know, he basically has to fix his kids. I think he's he's a drunk in the future.
He's taking a lot of shit from Biff's son.
Yeah, it's pretty much
no, from a Japanese dude.
Yeah, it's pretty. This is pretty much it.
He goes, "Are you chicken? Send me these files." So he sends it to him, and his boss finds out. He fires him, and that's when his girlfriend realizes he's got this little quirk that if somebody calls him chicken, he loses his shit, and that's what's going to get him fired. And she keeps it. She keeps this little "you're fired" because it goes all over his house. They end up getting her back. She sees herself from the future, passes out. They put her back in the car. They go back to the past, and all of a sudden everything's crap. And Doc Brown realizes, oh, you did something wrong. So they go back to the past again, finding out that Biff went there, which when they got back in the car, they should have saw that the time was wrong and gone, holy shit, someone else went back. Let's figure this out right now. But again, movie, tension, fun.
Well, you're missing a key aspect. When Marty bought that almanac, the doc actually gave him a big speech on how he shouldn't do this and that, and he threw it away.
Yeah.
So Biff from the past saw
he goes,
that.
"There's off something awfully familiar about all this."
Yeah, so he got it, took of the past, and basically used it, which is So go on.
Which screws up his present, so they have to go back in the past to get it to get it back. They get it back. Everything seems better. And then at the end of the movie, he's in the truck. They're getting ready to go away from the weekend, and Biff's kid or Biff's cousin, or whoever this guy is related to Biff, because he looks just like Biff.
Yeah.
Basically tells him, "Come on, let's race that pretty new truck of yours." He goes, "What are you, chicken?" And he goes, "No one calls me chicken." So he hauls ass, and she goes, "Oh my God, no!" Slams on his brakes, turns his wheel, and he misses this Mercedes. And that's what put his life in such shit in the future, because he fucks up this person and ends up, so much in debt and everything else. And then she pulls the thing out that says "you're fired," and it disappears.
Yep.
And he kind of learns his lesson that, okay, I'm not going to, be as patsy like this anymore.
Kind of.
Yeah.
So
and then he ends up getting trapped in the past.
I don't know how the hell they went back or why they went back.
Somehow he ended up he was looking for Doc Brown. He was looking for Doc Brown because he ended up getting struck by lightning again in the DeLorean.
Oh, while he was flying. That's right.
Yeah, while he was flying, because he gets caught up in like this big balloon type thing for like real estate, and he's trying to tell Doc, everything's fine, And then it gets struck by lightning. He disappears, and this guy shows up almost immediately, and he's like, "Here's a letter." And he's like, "Oh my God, he's alive, but he's in the past, and he can't get here." That's how he finds out about.
To be continued.
The DeLorean, and it's just like, oh wow, to be concluded.
Yes, yeah.
And then the third one, which is actually really good.
Oh, the third one was amazing. The end of the second one, they actually showed clips for the third one. That was basically saying, "Hey guys, we're not gonna forget about it."
It was like Lord of the Rings. They were shooting it almost simultaneously.
Yeah, that time, they did the two together, and we didn't have to wait. I think we waited maybe a year and a half for the
2 years or something like that.
And finally, it comes out, and I forget.
Oh, it was freaking awesome.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah, I like in the very beginning when he's dressed up like all kinds of weird looking, and he goes, I look like Clint Eastwood. And Doc Brown, because this is 1950s, Doc Brown goes, "Who?" And he looks over, and right next to him are Clint Eastwood's very first movies when he was not named Clint Eastwood yet.
Yep.
Which is really freaking hilarious.
Which is funny because they were actually calling him Clint Eastwood in the past.
Yeah. Because he kept saying, "What's your name?" "Clint Eastwood."
Which makes it even funnier because one of the streets is named after Clint Eastwood because of that.
Yeah, because of that. Because it was originally named after Clara Wilson, I think her name was.
Something like that, yeah.
Who ended up on a stagecoach went over it. Now, again, this is one of those, the geography doesn't make any sense.
Oh, so, yeah, there's a cliff.
Yeah, there's a cliff. that she goes over, and they name this road after her, but there's no cliff in this town.
It's a hell of a drop too. It's not like
this isn't no hill. This is not like stepping off the curve. It is like a half grand fucking canyon drop.
You can't fill that bitch in. That's what I'm saying. There's no filling that in with.
They never showed it in Hill Valley anywhere. But this street's named after her because that's where the accident happens. Well, he goes back in the past. They end up having to like jerry rig all this stuff together. Like he found out how to make ice for himself, and in the Old West in the 1800s,
and Doc falls in love
Doc
with a
ends
woman.
Up saving the chick who was supposed to die, Clara. Yeah, and so he's like, she was supposed to die. That's who this street's named after. And he's like, oh crap, I changed the future. I wasn't supposed to.
Well, in the long run, he falls in love with her.
Yeah. And he ends up fighting Biff's great ancestor.
Yeah, which is funny.
It looks like kind of like Doc Holliday, had sex with a very angry German Shepherd.
Well, actually, Doc Holliday had sex with like Bluto.
Yeah.
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 So you have that, and then there's a part towards the end. He's got to do this showdown where they're shooting each other, and it's all because of the whole chicken thing. He says, "You yella," that kind of thing. And while they're doing that, Doc has got this thing with Clara, and they're kind of going out, and there's a bunch of stuff that happens between.
And interestingly enough, this is another one of those. They took a picture in the graveyard because it had Doc Brown's gravestone in there. And when he looks at the picture again, there's a gravestone for Clint Eastwood.
Oh, that's right.
So he was supposed to. So somehow, again, one of those really
temporal
funky,
displacement.
Paradoxes. Yeah, real temporal displacements where all of a sudden, wait a minute, his grave's there next to Doc Brown's, and he didn't see it before because he wasn't. And if you watch the movie, it is there when they first go there.
Well, one of my favorite scenes is Doc is drinking in the pub. He just broke up with Clara. He had to because he's going to go back, and he's drinking. And Marty comes in and he goes, well, first thing he's talking to one of these guys is telling like, in the future people run for fun. He's like, you're kidding me. In the future people run for fun.
Yeah.
and then Marty comes in and he's talking to he's like, man, Doc must be really hammered. And he's like, he's still on the first drink.
Yeah. Nope, he's still on the first drink.
Which is great. So
and he finishes it and he turns around and falls.
Yeah. So I want to remember. I think that during the showdown between him and Biff's great ancestor, there was he pulled an actual Clint Eastwood move where he put that plating.
Yeah, he used a cast iron pan as a bulletproof. Now, another really cool tie-in in the second movie, the movie that Clint Eastwood does that in. Biff, the alternate present Biff, is watching that movie.
Yes,
and Marty is watching it. He comes in while he's watching it, and he even goes, bulletproof vest, freaking genius.
Yep.
And then he actually does it. Marty does it in the third movie.
Well, it's amazing how they tie everything together. So they do that, and he doesn't kill Biff. I think he shoots something out of his hand, shoots the gun out of his hand or something. I forget.
Yeah. He basically knocks him out somehow.
Yeah, something happens. Forgive me.
And I remember, to go back real quick, the first time he meets Biff's ancestor, he's in the saloon, and Biff's ancestor pulls out the gun, points it at him, and goes, "Dance." And he starts to kind of like hop around, and then he starts moonwalking, and he jumps and he does the little toe thing where he jumps up on his toes, and he hits the spittoon, and it spills all over Biff's ancestor, and that's what started it.
Yeah. There's a dance scene. There's a bunch of other stuff we're not talking about, but those are we're trying to speed it up a little. So they have to push the DeLorean with a train, and
up to 88 miles an hour.
Now that
for some reason it had power, but they didn't have energy.
Yeah.
And why the DeLorean, which was being able to run on trash for nuclear fission? I got again.
Well, that started in the second one.
Tension, fun.
Yeah, that started in the second one. But I don't think it was. And trash. There's trash in the fucking past. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
But I think that I want to say something else was wrong with it to where it wouldn't start.
Probably.
So,
it's been a while since I've seen it.
So what happened was Doc built these like bricks or these coal things that would give the train enough power to push it to 88 miles an hour.
Yeah.
and they're pushing it in. They're pushing in. So Marty's in the car, Doc is in the train, and somewhere Clara finds out that what's going on. That Doc is leaving, and she goes to fucking go with him.
Yeah, fucking woman.
Yeah, that just causes all sorts of shit to happen. Nothing went off as planned, Doc ended up having to save Clara again.
Yep. And misses his chance to go home.
Yeah, misses his chance to go home.
So as far as everyone can tell, Clint Eastwood has now died by going off the edge of this cliff because the train there's new track being laid across.
Yeah, they were still on the track.
Thing. And the train. So what they did was they made it so that it wasn't going to go onto its alternate route. So it was going to continue to go off the cliff.
Yeah.
He ends up on the railroad track, and everyone's like, "What the hell?" Because the things are down.
Yeah, they said Doc told him to destroy the time machine once he gets back.
And he kind of doesn't want to, but then all of a sudden, a train shows up and just obliterates the DeLorean, and out comes walking Clara and Doc.
Was
Doc
it that
Brown.
train? And like 3 kids, by the way. But
Yeah,
was it that train?
2 kids. It was Jules and Vern.
Yeah. Was it that kid? Was it that train that ran over the DeLorean?
Yeah, his train is the one that ran over the DeLorean.
Okay. Well, either way, the DeLorean was destroyed. We have ourselves a happy ending because, they're not gone forever. But the funny part about this is after they meet and the dialogue happens, the train can fly too.
Yeah, the train takes off. It's like, wow, you made that back in the 1800s. I'm impressed.
And
that didn't change the future at all?
Well,
what the fuck?
Well, let's be logical. He probably went to the future to put the other upgrades into it.
Yeah.
And then, he probably made it like, oh, okay, this is a one-time thing. We're going to go to the future and fix this and make it better. Yeah, so, how people didn't go, oh my God, that's a fucking steam train and shit themselves.
Right.
In the future is beyond me. Okay, well.
I don't know, maybe it's a common thing, like with the, like the TARDIS being a blue police box, or even Bill and Ted's Time Machine, being a payphone.
Yeah, but the payphone, you could, even though nowadays you don't see them that often, they're still around a little bit, like in, I want to say New York or whatever. But, so if you see one, you're not going to be like, oh, yeah, okay, oh, what the fuck is that? We're talking flying cars era, okay? He goes to an era where there's flying cars and there's a steam train?
Okay, that's true. Now, if I saw a horseless carriage with a freaking Miata engine and hauling ass down the road, I'd probably be going, holy fuck, myself.
That's my point. So,
yeah, okay, you're right.
We got a special movie review coming up too. I haven't seen it, but Sunrie has been lucky enough to see Deadpool. Why don't you give us a nerd review on Deadpool?
Yeah, and honestly, there's nothing really to spoil. I don't want to spoil jokes, so I'm not going to talk about jokes and stuff like that. Let me put it this way. If you know anything about Deadpool and you think that Deadpool might be interesting, or you know something of Deadpool, you owe it to yourself to go see this movie. It is probably the best comic book movie ever made, and by accident, it is also the best X-Men movie ever made.
See, that's also saying a lot, simply because you have the first X-Men movie, which I thought was amazing. People disagree with me. Yeah. Then you have the Avengers movie, the first Avengers movie, which was freaking believably amazing.
It was good. There were some things about it that I was kind of like, eh. Now, I didn't like the Thor movie. He went from don't ever talk to me, I am Thor, to humans are awesome, I'm gonna fuck this human. I'm
not a fan of Thor to begin with, because it's a stolen superhero. It's a stolen concept.
Yeah.
It's like me going, I'm gonna make a superhero by the name of Satan.
I think there is.
Yeah, well, you get my idea, though. It's the basics. You're taking mythology and mythos and whatever, what have you, and you're putting it in as the guy.
Well, it's the same thing with Wonder Woman with Hades.
Yeah, I agree with.
Yeah, I haven't even heard from people who said they knew nothing about Deadpool going in, came out going, that was fucking awesome.
Now, if you have any fear of Ryan Reynolds being Deadpool, put them to rest right now.
Don't. The guy was born to be Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
He has pushed so hard to him, and the director have pushed so hard to get this movie made. And he is the perfect Deadpool. He even makes fun of himself as the Wolverine Origins Deadpool in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't say how, but they do bring that up, and it's really funny.
Well, they bring up the Green Lantern.
They bring up the Green Lantern, like at one point where he's like doing the superhero thing. They're like, "Well, when you make me a superhero, please don't make the suit green or animated."
Yeah.
And in his wallet, he keeps a picture of himself as a Green Lantern-esque looking character, which brings me to a couple of the few problems that I have with this movie. One, Ajax and Angel, they're kind of obscure even for Deadpool to be the villains.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that they used the obscure people because they could kind of do whatever they wanted with them.
Yeah,
Colossus acted just like Colossus, but he never turned human. That was my only thing with Colossus. I was always waiting for him to turn back into human, but he was always as metallic.
Which is bullshit.
But I'll tell you what, it worked because most of the time he's ready for battle and stuff like that, so it actually worked.
Well, I say bullshit because character-wise, he doesn't, from what I've
Yeah, he wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I think the reason they did that is because they're tying Colossus into X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And I think that's the route they're going with them.
Well, it's just like Batman versus
like
Superman. They're bringing in Wonder Woman
Right.
so they can bring the fucking Justice League movie out.
With them being that way, he made a couple of DC references, and for me, being a Marvel film and a Marvel character, and I know Deadpool is extremely self-aware. Nothing's taken seriously. It's extremely fourth wall breaking. I don't feel he should be making DC references in a Marvel universe.
I have to agree with that. Like I said, I haven't seen the movie, but if I seen a DC character talk about like Dynamo or whatever,
right?
Or another like Marvel character
make a reference about Wolverine or the X-Men.
It would kill it.
Like if Batman was like, yeah, and those X-Men, like it doesn't work. So that was one thing that kind of took me out of it a little bit.
Well, I will reference this. Remember the Spider-Man movie where where Aunt May goes, "You're not Superman." That was okay.
Yeah. Well, but she doesn't say you're not Superman. She says you're not a Superman.
I thought she said you're not Superman.
I thought she said you're not a Superman, as in you can't do it all.
Well, I think she said Well, if she said Superman, there was a DC reference there, but I can live with that.
See, things like that kind of bother me.
Well, it takes it out of context. It takes you out of the magic of the movie theater. You're like, oh, this is, and I agree with you on that simply because.
So it's like, okay, wait a minute. So in Spider-Man's world, Superman is still a comic?
And I agree with you, simply because DC and Marvel are their own two different worlds. If you mix the two, it's just not going to work. It's
right.
It's like putting two different dimensions together. The world's going to fucking blow up.
Yeah. My other complaint with it was I wish the movie was longer.
How long was it?
It was an average hour 20 minutes.
Okay, that's not too bad.
It's just the movie was so damn good.
They're already.
I literally, when it was over, I literally went, oh. A couple of times where it was a little too CGI during some of the fights.
Okay.
Which further makes it funny because of that reference. Don't make my suit animated, and it's like, well, they did animate him quite a few times.
Yeah.
For the action sequences, but otherwise, I think the jokes were on point. They were freaking hilarious. The opening credits set the mood for the entire movie. Like they're not even real credits. It's like starring an overpaid dick, is a moody teenager, gratuitous cameos, directed by some superfluous tool.
That's
written by the real heroes here, and it's really, he's teabagging a dude while giving somebody a wedgie. It's freaking perfect.
It's Deadpool.
It is very, very much Deadpool. Oh, that was my other complaints. He only says, "Let's go make some fucking chimichangas" once, but I understand that they didn't want it to go overboard. They wanted it to be that special thing. They didn't want the entire movie to be lip service.
Yeah, and maybe the sequel, because they are talking about a sequel already.
Oh, no, it is confirmed. They are doing a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And it is going to have Cable, which I'm fucking excited for.
Awesome.
If they do get Dolph Lundgren to play Cable, I don't know how I will feel about that, but it might work. Bob he only mentions Bob at the end of the movie. And Bob is such an important part of Deadpool.
Well, maybe that was a part for the sequel to come out. Maybe it was like...
and I'm really hoping so, because right now his current roommate she is really fucking funny. It is so perfect. It is a perfect matching pair with it. I like how they changed his origin. He's not a Weapon X. He is part of it. It kind of suggests that it's Hydra, like a part of Hydra, but not really. I think because they weren't allowed to use Hydra because of some upcoming movie licensing issues. Because it's Fox and the other Marvels aren't Fox movies.
Oh, that makes sense.
And so they weren't allowed to use Hydra. So it's very heavily implied but never said that it's like an offshoot of Hydra, like maybe a squad or two, like part of their.
Did Disney have anything to do with this one?
It's Fox. It's only Fox.
Okay, well, congrats to
and that's
Fox,
part of it.
And congrats for there being a superhero movie that's Marvel. That's
Disney. Why I got a rated R. Because Fox did not at first want to do rated R. They wanted to do a PG to PG-13 rating.
Okay.
And Reynolds and the director, it's not Miller. What is his name? I feel so bad for not remembering the director's name because he even plays the bartender Weasel and he is fucking hilarious. And so what they did was they made a fake movie trailer and said, if you are going to do Deadpool, this is how the movie has to be, and they put it on YouTube.
Yep.
And everyone lost their shit and went, "Oh my god!"
I remember it because
when is this coming out?
It was basically that it was CG.
Yeah, it's like, wow, you're gonna give us all the money? Okay.
Well, let me give Fox some credit here. Got to give Fox some credit because they aren't Disney and they did an amazing Marvel comic movie.
Yeah. Let's just put it this way: they nailed Deadpool. This is Deadpool.
Good.
Flat out.
Good. Well, when it comes to Disney, I have a theory. I think, and Sunrie knows about this theory.
Yeah.
Because, every so often, I'm going off topic, but this is so funny, I got to say it. Every so often, Disney has like flops after flops after flops on their channel, Disney Channel, on their movies, whatever. Well, my theory is this. They get tired of the flops. The top guy sells his soul to the devil.
Or sacrifices a baby.
Or sacrifices a baby or sells the soul to the devil for till he dies. And then when he dies, up until he dies, they do amazing, immaculate. Every movie they got is a fucking hit.
Look, Frozen, The Avengers.
Kind of like now.
Star Wars.
Yeah, kind of like right now. Okay? Well, and, before all that, how many hits?
All bow down before the unholy master.
Before that, how many hits? They went a long time without doing very well. In fact, I think there was a point where Disney was actually in financial trouble.
Yeah, a little bit.
They're a fucking powerhouse. It's going to be a lot to get them to go away. But anyway, then finally when that person dies, they go through that slump all over again, and then they have to repeat it. So that's my theory on Disney.
Seriously, go see Deadpool, guys.
Also, I want to give a good shout out for Gambit. He was a good replacement host for a little bit. Good job, Gambit. We'll see you.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll most definitely see you in the future. You'll be a big part of this podcast in the future as well.
Yeah, and check out the YouTube channels because he's been playing games with us a lot. He is a friend in real life.
All right, any final words, Sunrie?
Go see Deadpool. Fuck Bungie. Fuck Activision. Capcom, you did good. I'll review Street Fighter V next one.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
And see ya.